what was stirred up while you were at camp. Do I have anybody who's, all right, Bella was so fast. All right, yeah. Come on, Bella, come on. Y'all make some noise for her. Hey, if you keep, I'm going to get more than Bella, okay? So we're coming around. All right, Bella, tell us, what did God do at camp?
So I went to camp with not only a couple addictions that I haven't broken off yet, but a lot of people that I haven't forgiven, and just parts of me that were judging people. And I think the line game where we all stepped up to the line definitely helped, because there were people here that I go to school with, and it's like, I don't know your full story, so I'm quick to judge someone, even though, you shouldn't, but I'm quick to judge people.
We all judge people.
And I think that line game helped, because I see different sides of people that maybe just sit at a different table in a class I have or something, and it helps to see what people are going through and know that other people go through the same things you go through, and that you can help them by letting them know that they're not the only people who struggle. And Brooke's message about forgiveness, I shared in my testimony, and also Monday before we left, that I did forgive my dad, and I called him. And if you didn't go to camp...
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And if you weren't at camp to hear my testimony, we just had some struggles between me and my dad, and he's doing good, and there's no more, hard feelings about it. Everyone struggles, and he's had to forgive me for things I've done. But also during a lot of the worship, I prayed for addictions that I had to fully break, because it's addictions that keep me farther away from God, I feel, and it's the things that I continue to do even though I know I shouldn't, that the enemy has like a foothold of me. And I kept praying, and when I got back home, because I live in a very broken home, and when I get there, that's where a lot of those thoughts come into my head, and it's like, oh, you have to do this, or you should go do that. And it's like, when I walked into my house for the first time, it felt peaceful, and it felt like how I felt at camp. I felt God, and I felt like free. I felt free.
Come on, that's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
Miss Bella, thank you so much. Y'all make some noise for her one more time. That was so good. Hey, I love Samantha. I saw your hand up. Come on. And I love that there was something before you came to camp about forgiveness and about the addictions, and God spoke to both of those things secretly. Hey, y'all make some noise. Come on. All right, what did God do in you at camp?
Okay, so a couple things. Mine is kind of similar to Bella. I shared at Vox Camp that Brooke's message stirred up like a thing about forgiveness, and I hadn't realized I was still bitter towards my dad, and so I was like, oh, yeah, and I forgive that. And also Dina's message about how the past shouldn't have weight on us, and so when I came back and gave him a big hug, and I was like, I forgive you, like all these things did harm me, but that's in the past, and now we're starting a new future. And and I was also praying going into that I wanted a few like godly friends, and I definitely made a ton. Like both Gabby's back there, and Kyra, and Miana's not here, and Melanie, and yeah, it was a really good experience.
Let's go. Come on. Y'all make some noise for her one more time. Come on. Hey, you know what I love about that? Come on, Caitlin. We'll get you Mason next. You know what I love about that is sometimes you feel like, hey, I don't know anybody. I'm not going to go to camp because I don't have any friends. And hey, guys, low-key, camp is so that you meet the peoples and make the friends. Okay, that's like why we do it. All right. Miss Caitlin, what did God... Yeah. Give it up. Hey, what happened at camp?
So I went to camp very uncertain about where I stand with God, and I had the enemy talking to me a lot, and I almost was convinced, don't go. And I'm so glad that I did, because it really felt like God lifted a weight off my shoulder that has been there for so long. And it just it felt so good. And when I talked to Brittany, it made me feel even better, because it really, God works in amazing ways. And I really felt that, and I haven't really felt that in a while. And I knew that I just needed to be patient, because the patience paid off. And God really did amazing things there. And I connected with so many people that I never really thought I could have connected with. And when worshiping, no one was no one was an outsider. Everyone was together. And it really, I could just see God in everyone there. And God did just amazing things that I didn't really know he could do before. So I just loved camp and everything about it.
Come on, that's so good. Miss Caitlin, thank you. Mr. Mason, come on. Gosh, I love that. And it's especially true. We were talking with some of the leaders before camp about how the enemy really does not like what we're about to do at camp. And so he is going to try to convince you not to come. But Caitlin, I'm glad you came. That was so good, so good, so good. Yeah, come on. All right. Mr. Mason.
Just like Caitlin, I was really in a weird spot in my life. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, why would I go to this camp? I'm not even, with the Lord anymore. Is he, even a part of my life? And then just, the week before camp, I just had this sudden urge, I need to go. I need to go to this camp and see what's going to happen. Something just is driving me to go. And I went, and I was like, oh, my gosh. It changed, so much of how I, saw life and how I changed, everything about myself since after going to that camp. Walk the line, I was very nervous last Vox camp to share some things. And this year I shared them, and I finally felt free from finally being able to explain to somebody how I felt and how my life has been. And people were there and they lived somewhat the same life, and I felt oh my God, there's people there that really just are like me, and I'm not alone. And also, an amazing thing is I really thought on Sunday night, I was praying with my friend Diogo and Kenny, and I really felt God was speaking to them through me while I was praying to them. And about 5 minutes later, Dina went on stage, and she was like, if anybody here wants to give their life to God, please come up there. And they both had the courage and strength to go up there. And I feel like God's words through me spoke to them, and we're able to do that.
Come on. I love that. I love that. Mason, I love that, because you don't know, Brian, come on. You don't know how God will use you in other people's lives. And that's a big deal too, y'all. That's amazing. That's amazing. Camp might not just be for you. It might be for those that you can impact. Mr. Brian, how you doing, sir? Y'all make some noise. Come on. Oh, and we've got, let's go.
Is this close enough? Or?
That's good.
Okay.
That's good mic etiquette.
At Vox Camp, I definitely got closer to a lot more people. I met some good friends like Noel. I met Ben, Marcelo's son. I met Addison. I don't know where they are, but they're over there. And I can't remember anyone from my.
You're good. You're
my
good.
friend.
You're good.
But
they know you love them.
Yeah. So one thing that the Lord definitely did was grow my faith. I went there with not the best, not with a full trust, and kind of low in spirit, but going there and seeing what the Lord is doing with everyone else in their lives, and hearing everyone's testimonies and stuff, and even worship, it definitely grew my faith and definitely had me pumped. I was excited. And my favorite moments at Vox Camp was number one is definitely the baptism, when I was able to get the chance to baptize my little brother. And beautiful. one of the messages or like one of the preachings that definitely stood out was Andrew's leadership. I was definitely I was I was thinking of like leadership, like bring people to Christ, like lead people to Jesus, and like I was just thinking, what are the chances that Andrew's doing preaching about leadership, and then during praise, Dina mentioned like people who want to lead people who are interested in leadership and who are serious about it can step forward. I was like, it's like they were reading my mind. It's like, I don't know, it's just really cool. So now I definitely I didn't hesitate. I definitely went up, and I was surprised. Well, not really surprised. See how many people were actually stepped up. It was like a lot of people. And so with the leadership part, one of the points I had gotten was it takes a leader to grow a leader, but to be a leader, you must first be a follower. I don't know if anyone watched The Chosen, but there's a point where Jesus is sitting down with his people, and he starts grouping them up to go out to where he's going to send them, and to preach to them, to tell them about Jesus and stuff. And I got me thinking, like, dang, they were first a follower of Jesus. Now Jesus has them leading people to him. So yeah, I just thought that was like really cool. And like I was the whole time there, I was like making like references and stuff. It was like really cool. So yeah, I don't really got going. Yeah.
Come on. Y'all give it up for Brian one more time. Come on. Hey, I love that. I love that we start. Come on, Jasmine. Let's go. Hey, I love that everybody came maybe here with the Lord, but as camp went on, God did some great things. Y'all give it up for Jasmine. Thanks for joining us. Talk to us.
Hi. So I didn't really have a testimony when I was at camp. I didn't share like a story or anything, but on the last day before we left, I did go on stage, and I was talking about how leadership never really stuck out to me before camp, but at camp it really did, and how I wanted to be the light of Jesus for other people, and especially for my parents. If you're at church camp, maybe you remember what I was saying, that I wanted to have an impact on my parents, and I wanted to have an impact on my brother. And when I got home that day, I was like, my parents were asking me like, oh, how was camp? And they were really excited for me to share. And I started preaching to them. And I was preaching a lot. I was telling them like everything. I pulled out my packet, and I read through every single thing, every single scripture, anything that I could remember.
Let's go.
Anything that I could remember that all the pastors said, all the leaders said, I told them. I was crying, and they were crying. Both of them were crying. It was really good. So, yeah, I was really happy.
Come on, that's amazing. Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, I absolutely love Mr. Johnny. Come on. I absolutely love that camp was not just for Jasmine, but her whole household. Mr. Johnny, welcome.
What is up, y'all? I wrote some notes because I did on what I was going to talk about because I didn't want to forget.
Look at that.
All right, just a couple of things. So something that stuck out to me a lot at camp was just the idea and subject of perspective and how it impacts people, because especially when we did the line and stuff, it kind of showed me that we can't be so quick to judge people, and we just have to see everything from a perspective and not just be so quick to judge. And also something else that stuck out to me with the forgiveness was that we don't only have to forgive others, but I feel like we have to forgive ourselves for a lot of things, because we're so quick to just overthink and overcomplicate things that we did, and I feel like that weighs us down. And I just feel like we have to forgive ourselves, because that's just so important, and just give it all to Christ. So I feel like that was something that really stuck out to me. And if you're at camp, you probably know I shared my testimony, and I'm just gonna give I'm just gonna give a little recap on what that was. So If you were there, you would know my mother fell, and that led to a lot of heart problems and stuff. And so she's been in the hospital for the past 7 months. And while we were there a couple months ago, I got the news that the doctors all rounded us up and said that there was going to be a 0% chance that she was going to make it out alive. And we gathered all our family. We flew in all our family from Chicago, and we all were prepared to say our goodbyes until we unplugged everything. But it was so weird. The minutes turned into hours, and the hours turned into the days, and she was slowly starting to get better. And so to this day, she's still getting better, and it's just a miracle, and it shows that God can do the 0%, and He is the 0%. So I'm just so thankful for the Lord.
Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Come on, Johnny. Y'all give it up for Johnny one more time. Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I love it. Y'all are pointing, Miss Kyra. Come on. Hey, and then here's what we're gonna do. Let's get Kyra up here, and then we'll figure this out. Y'all make some noise for her.
Okay, hi guys. So during camp, I didn't realize that I still haven't forgiven my parents for like what had happened to me in my life, and the people that like were there know my testimony. So when I got home, I told my foster parents like what happened at the camp, and I got called to like text my parents and tell them that like I forgive them, and I like texted them both like a long thing explaining like why I forgive them and all that stuff, and my mom took it good, but my dad is like, I don't know how to explain my dad, but he took it kind of, I didn't expect what he like said, and he was basically like blaming everyone else and not taking responsibility for his like self or whatever. And I'm not mad at him for like the way he like texted me. I will always love him, and I will always pray for him. And then with the leadership, I like started like recruiting people from my school to the church, and I'm gonna see if they want to come. But that's it.
Come on, that's so good. That's so good. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, hey, listen. If you would have shared a testimony and you haven't shared yet, would you stand up? Would you just stand up right where you are? Stand up. I know there was a couple more hands. All right. Okay. Anybody else that would share a testimony? She didn't go to camp. Yeah. She can't stand for that. Okay. Hey, I'm already 4 minutes over time on testimonies, but here's what I want to do. You see these people standing right now, and I need you after Vox to come find them and ask them and say, what did God do in you? And I'm sure that's not what you wanted, but God did so many amazing things. These are only parts of the stories. Hey, would y'all celebrate all of those stories, even these ones? Come on. It was so good. We did some fun stuff. It was a new camp. We had some of our own. We had my mom and Andrew preach. They did incredible in their sessions. We did something. We did not announce this, but we brought in a guest speaker, and Miss Brooke Bazan, and I think y'all loved her. Did y'all like her? Yeah, come on. And anyway, Fox Camp was incredible, and but it was a little different for me. So normally I am the biggest fan of camp of all time. I love camp. I love going to camp. I love doing the things. And then on Sunday, I woke up with a fever. And I definitely knew things were going down because during Andrew's session, I was standing like this, sweating. I was like trying to like, and then by the end of the day, if we could roll that footage. I was trying to watch baptisms like 200 feet away from all the other students, freezing to death, like full body shiver, like hat on, hoodie on, just trying to stay alive. It was not pretty at all. And so I literally slept like almost the entire day Sunday, slept most of Monday morning. Me and Lloyd both slept. I mean, like I missed half of camp. I missed like the devos with you guys. I missed the majority of the night session. I came for what we did. We did this walk the line thing where people came if you had this thing in common, and I came and I'm fevering against the wall at like 11:30 p.m. Trying to participate. It was absolutely crazy. But do you know what? I have to say, on Monday, like when we were leaving camp, somebody was like, hey, what's up, Josh? And I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little better. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I've been gone for like 2 days. And they're like, oh, cool. And what I loved was that camp ran so incredibly smoothly. Y'all didn't even notice I was gone. And that's due in part to, Brittany just raised her hand. That's due in part to, guys, you had an amazing camp team. Could y'all make some noise for your leaders that served, that led, that did all these things? Because here's the deal. Every single one of those leaders is an incredible example and testimony that God has given all of them gifts and talents and abilities, and they're using them. And when one part of the body wasn't working, they were able to kick into gear and do the other things that the body needed to do. And so the body continued to function because there were healthy parts of the body doing the things that they were meant to do. And so you had leaders who were good at organizing and leading, and they did that. They were leading and organizing. And you had leaders who were great at serving and helping and picking up and doing the things, the practical things, and they did that. And you had leaders that were good at teaching and preaching and speaking and all of those things, and they did that. You had leaders who were good at ministry of prayer and those things, and they did that. And we started a series a few weeks ago called IRL, and it makes me so happy. And in it, we're talking about what does the Christian life look like? What does my faith look like in real life? How does Jesus affect me outside of, like, I know what Jesus looks like in churchy things. I get that. I do that professionally. You do that. You come on Wednesdays, you come on Sundays. You get what Jesus looks like in church environments. But like, what does Jesus look like when I'm playing sports? Like, what does Jesus look like during school? Because let's be honest, at most, you're here at church like 3 hours a week. The rest of the time, you're in the real world, and Jesus, if he doesn't make a difference there, then this isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And so one of the things that is so important that Jesus does in us and through us is he leads us to serve. And listen, we did a message on this and a whole series on this called "It's Spiritual" back in October. Anybody remember that? We did "It's Spiritual" back in October, and we talked about we talked about that God has given each of you a gift. Every single Christian, God has given a gift. And some of you are thinking, oh, gift. Well, kind of. It is a gift. It's free. You get to open it and enjoy it. But when the Bible says a gift, it's actually what we kind of use to mean like ability. And so the Bible says that God has given each Christian abilities to use to serve. And immediately some of us go, I don't know, that sounds like a loaded present to me. Like, have y'all ever gotten a gift that immediately came with attachments? Like I had a friend who, as soon as she got, like the day she got her driver's license, her mom went, great, now you're doing all the grocery shopping. Get going today, here's my list, right? Like that was, and it was like this is a gift, but also responsibility. But the Bible tells us that God gives us an ability, and it's more than a responsibility. It's not a weight like this because it's part of our purpose. It's part of our purpose. See, Christians are supposed to be people who are serving and using the things that God has given them to help others, to make the world better, to fix and heal and make things whole. And yet we're actually facing a huge problem. I don't know if you know this. You might not know this. This is kind of like insider things. Did you know that in the U.S. right now there is a national shortage of pastors? There are not enough pastors in the country right now. So here's what's crazy. The average age of pastors is creeping up older and older. There's one Christian group that the average age, right? Like, so y'all know average, middle. Okay, so the middle age of pastors for this one church group is 70 years old. Like they're like, because no people are coming up to follow. There's a national shortage of youth pastors in America. And so right now, there are people looking, and here's what's crazy. You know what's crazy? The majority of people who work for churches live in America, which means across the world, there's a lack of people able to help the church. And here's the deal. This shouldn't be, because all Christians are given an ability by God to serve one another, to make things better. And so I want to share a couple things with you about serving, about what it means and what God's calling us to and why it's important. Most of us understand why it's important that there are people who serve. And let me just say immediately, as somebody who is sick for the last 72 plus hours, I absolutely love when people are serving. Okay, let me just say, if you have ever been sick, how many of you become complete wastes of human beings when you are sick? I just like at camp, I had the hoodie on, the hat on, cuddled up with a blanket, just shivering in bed. And every once in a while, some of the Vox guys would come be like, hey, Josh, you okay? You need anything? Just gotta get some water. They're like, yeah, Josh, we got you, right? Like it was so nice. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to go anywhere. You guys know it's crazy. I've told you before, I have 5 kids at home. My wife had all 5 kids while we were at camp. When I came home Monday from camp, 3 of 5 kids and my wife were all sick. I would literally came home as the healthiest person in my, like the only ones who weren't sick were my baby and my 5-year-old son. And then literally by Tuesday, both of them got sick. And so, and don't worry though. If you know Nolan, he's my 5-year-old. He got sick and he's got like 101 fever. He's got headaches and he's like, "Hey Dad, what's up?" Oh. You want to watch Sonic? Or he's fine. So, but literally I came home and I'm like fevering, I'm exhausted, and I'm like, oh gosh, I got to take care of all of you, all right? And so we understand how valuable serving is. So let me not sugarcoat this. We understand serving is so important, but so often we want to be served. And it's because we recognize that serving is work. It is work. Serving is work. Now here's the deal. There's a joy to serving. And God will give you a joy to serving. Some of you are avoiding serving because you're afraid that you won't find joy. And I'm telling you that in serving, God will give you joy because there's purpose in your serve. However, one of the reasons that we're staying away is because we recognize, serving is work. And it is. Serving, it is. It is work. But here's the deal. Work is wonderful. And I know that made some of you roll your eyes so fast. Work is wonderful? Yeah. Homework is wonderful. Public's work is wonderful. The chore work of vacuuming your living room is wonderful. Your Sunsplash job that's upcoming, that's wonderful. I'm talking scraping all the Band-Aids right off the top. That is. Hey, but here's the deal. You know what? Somebody last week asked me, they go, "Hey, what is heaven like?" Because heaven kind of sounds a little boring. And to be honest, sometimes the picture that we get of heaven is like this. Hey, in heaven, you're going to be chilling. You're going to be on a cloud. It's going to be pretty quiet. It's going to be pretty fluffy, pretty white, and it's going to be a long time. And but that's better than the other place, those are your options. All right, that is not heaven. That is not heaven at all. The Bible tells us that in heaven we're going to get to worship God. We're going to get to be together. We're going to get to experience love. We have no pain, sorrow. We have no nothing against us. Nothing. I mean, it is a perfect place. It's all of these things, but there's also things to do. At the very beginning of the Bible in Genesis 1, so literally Genesis, first book of the whole Bible. Chapter 1, first chapter of the whole Bible. It's literally the beginning. God's talking about people, and it's the first time people show up. And in Genesis 1, God is talking about why he's creating humans, why he wants to make humans. And he says this, God spoke, "Let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, yes, earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of earth." And you know what? When God does this, he ends and he says, "It is good." Spoiler, a couple chapters later, the world gets wrecked by this thing called sin, which is where we disobey God, and then bad things show up. But, important note, jobs appeared before bad stuff did. Literally, God said, hey, I'm creating people because I want to give them something to do. I want to give them something to do. So let's put them in charge. Let's let them make things better. Let's put them on earth and let them care for fish and care for birds and let them do stuff on the earth. Let them create things. Kind of like I'm creating things. Let people create things. Wait. I need you to understand something. God's idea was work. And work was good. And he was like, I want to make stuff that's good for you to do so that you and I could do stuff that's good. Because have you ever done something really good? Do you know how that feels? You ever you ever turn in a paper that you know is getting a crispy A right back on it? You ever build something with your bare hands or your Roblox ones and you go, oh, that is beautiful. You might not remember this, but there was a point, Picasso, that you turned something into your parents and you were like, they're going to keep that forever. And I don't know if they did, but do you know how good you felt when you made that? You felt amazing. You were like, look at this. And your parents are like, what's that smudge? And they're like, it's you. Why? Because work by God's design, by his creation, is actually a good thing. Yes, there's a ton of messed up, jacked up stuff by work. And now work is hard and work has sweat and sometimes work is unfulfilling. Sometimes you spent 2 nights staying up way later than your circadian rhythm should let you, working on a paper that you turned in and you got a D and you were like, nah. And the AI checker came back and it was like 98% plagiarized and you were like, no, it was not. But here's the deal. Work is actually a good thing. And so God, watch this. This is beautiful. Work is wonderful because God has preserved serving as an opportunity where you can use a special thing that God has given you to do work that is always good. See, when you use the things that God has given you in any way, it is actually doing good. And it's amazing. And it's producing incredible things. So serving is kind of like work, but with God as your boss. Here's how Ephesians 6:6 describes it. And again, this is language that's going to feel heavy, but it says, as slaves of Christ, do the will of God with all your heart. Work with enthusiasm as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will reward each one of us for the good we do, whether we are slaves or free. So here's the deal. He says that when we are serving, we're actually not just serving the earthly thing that's happening. And so I don't know how many of you have ever changed a toddler's diaper before. But to be honest, 90% of the time, they're not as interested as you are in changing the diaper. And so if you've ever been in this situation where you are actually having to wrestle someone down while there's poop moving down here, right? And you're trying to figure out, like, what good is this, right? And what the Bible says, though, is that when you are serving, more than this toddler who will probably never forgive you and never remember the good that you did for them, God's keeping track. And God's going, I see that. I see that. I see that. You took some time to clean up some of the trash on the floor. God says, I saw that. You took some time to share with your friend about what Jesus did in you at camp. God goes, oh, I saw that. You saw somebody who was looking kind of sad, and you knew that you had a gift of encouragement, and so you went and tried to build them up, and God goes, yeah, nobody else saw it, but I saw that. And you served, and God goes, that was work that was wonderful to me. And listen, no, maybe you didn't get paid for it, but God goes, oh, that was good. See, sometimes I think we don't want to serve because we don't know that we can really make a difference, or we don't think that what we would do would make a difference. But using your abilities changes the world, no matter how small. Because God sees every single bit of it. And because you were designed to use that to produce good. So even if it was a small thing, even if it was an insignificant thing, you know what's interesting is that there's a point where Jesus tells a story about two groups of people, and one group of people, he says, come with me into heaven. And he says, because when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. And because when I was naked, you gave me clothes. And when I was in prison, you visited me. And I love, there's an old Christian musician who used to do a version of that song. It's Keith Green, right? And he said, he goes, Jesus, when did we see you doing those things? Because, gosh, your face is one that I would never forget. And Jesus goes, when you did it for the least of these, like when you did it for the people that everybody else forgot about. Like you were hooking up little kids with goldfish crackers at church. Jesus goes, I saw that. Like there was a homeless guy who ended up at the same gas station you went to every week, and you got him a slushie. Jesus goes, I saw that. And Jesus goes, I see the little bit. I know that sometimes we don't think, hey, I don't have much, but 1 Peter 4:10, God has given each of you a gift from his great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. So whatever gift you have, listen, if you're a Christian, if you have given your life to Jesus, I take that verse literally, and it says, God has given each of you. So you have one, at least, that you can be using. And when you use it, doesn't matter how small. Listen. Sometimes all somebody needs is somebody to listen to them or talk to them or encourage them. And nobody else is giving that space or that time or that gift. And you could. And it might feel really small and insignificant. Some of you have no idea how much it would mean if you cut papers in the church offices that would otherwise take 17 hours. And it's not glamorous. You're like cutting donkeys out for hours. But it seems small, but it matters. Like it's good kingdom work that glorifies and honors God. Sometimes we don't serve, though, because we don't think it's worth it for us. But let me say this, using your abilities changes the world, so it's worth making time for. Here's the thing, some of us we don't want to serve because we actually think we are too important. Or I've got too much. Like, you know what? I don't have time. I don't have time for that. Other people can serve. And that's not a biblical idea. That's not a Christian idea at all. The Christian idea is that all of us are giving. All of us are serving. Listen, and it doesn't have to be in an official capacity or in a team or something like that. But it does mean that we're using what God has given us. It does mean this. And so we use it because we use our abilities because it is worth making time for. 1 Timothy 4:14, it says, do not neglect the spiritual gift that you received. So like the gift that God has given you, don't skip it because you don't feel like it's worth it, or you don't feel like it's valuable, or you don't feel like it's no, that's nonsense. Using what God has given you makes an impact. Now here's the other thing. Some of us are waiting to serve because we're looking for the best place. But using your abilities changes the world, so it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing ever. And here's why. Because when you're serving, what you're doing is you're making an impact in something else. And that impact is bigger than your feeling. That impact will outlast your feeling. Pastor and author Timothy Keller wrote this in his book, Every Good Endeavor. This is really long, so just stay with me. He says, everyone will be forgotten, nothing we do will make any difference, and all good endeavors, even the best, will come to nothing unless there is God. Because if the God of the Bible exists and there is a true reality beneath and behind this one, and this life is not the only life, then every good endeavor, even the simplest ones pursued in response to God's calling, can matter forever. Hey, listen. What he's saying is, hey, if God's not real, you're right. Nothing matters. Literally, not even the most amazing, not even the most amazing achievements humanity has ever done. Those won't matter. If God's not real, nothing matters. Nothing. Not the best humans that have ever lived, not the most important humans, not the greatest monuments, not anything we've ever built. Nothing matters. Nothing. Pure nihilism. All right, but what Timothy Keller argued is he said, but if God is, then literally the simplest acts of serving God, like stacking chairs, like sitting with a special needs kid and comforting them, like feeding someone that can't feed themselves, like singing to people in a retirement home, worship songs, like whatever it is, literally the simplest things can actually matter forever. And that's incredible. So why do we serve? Why do we serve? Because it changes the world.